people because they can do day trips or they can do nice overnight packages. And again, most of our stuff is opened in our area. I even had a call yesterday from somebody saying, hey, I'm trying to put a last minute trip together for September. I'll have 50 people. Well, it's almost August. So, hey, that's great. So again, I mean, it's fabulous. We're very excited. We do have a couple things that still aren't open up in the Quad Cities, and that's like the John Deere Pavilion. They are doing remodeling while they are taking this kind of downtime. And last I heard that they are supposed to be opening up hopefully in September at some point with some remodeling. So the John Deere Pavilion will have some new things for people that haven't been there recently. So we'll cross our fingers and maybe that will reopen. Again, if there's an uptick, they may delay that some. Again, factory tours are not happening right now at all. But otherwise, I mean, again, most of the things are open. Most of everybody is very excited to get business into their establishments and into the hotels and get things moving again. So we are going to keep following our regular policies right now. We are basically doing everything back to normal, but again, following the CDC, whether we need to put masks back in place and so forth. Most of my group leaders have said that a lot of the travelers and most of their travelers are vaccinated when they come on, and my staff is all vaccinated. So we're just moving ahead, and let's cross our fingers that it goes smoothly still.
Susan, it sounds like you're not requiring vaccination though, is that right?
We're not requiring it at this point, no. Mask, we do still have mask requirements on our doors as you enter in, but again, Illinois is not mandating mask at this time. We are letting customers know that it is up to them whether they want to or not. We still have the UV sanitizing machines that are on the boats. We still have our sanitizer on the boats. But we have returned to buffet style meals, which our guests are very happy about. And so far, I mean, everything here has been going well. Again, when we need to make the changes, then definitely we will, to make sure that everybody is safe and everything's a good trip, safe trip.
Thanks. So most of our partners have been saying that the coaches have been coming fully vaccinated, which I find interesting. In our case, we've seen it mixed, vaccinated and unvaccinated. So I'm kind of curious if any other partners want to report on the status of vaccinations for the tours coming in and the requirements.
Yeah, I'll talk, Ted. We just hosted a bus about 2 weeks ago, full coach and fully vaccinated, and that was really good. And then we have in a week, we have a bus. It's only about 25 people coming, and they're going to be fully vaccinated as well. So Nebraska isn't currently doing anything with our mask mandates. So we still do not have a mask mandate, and everything's open and ready to go. I will say our small meetings business is doing a lot better than conventions or group, but I do have quite a few tours on the books for December for our Christmas and our holiday itinerary. So I'm just hopeful that the Delta variant doesn't mess with those at all. But at this point, Nebraska's doing really good. Omaha's doing great. And we're still going forward with a lot of our developments. So next year is going to be a huge year for Omaha because a lot of our riverfront's going to be accessible for groups now. So we're just kind of excited to keep going with the momentum we've got right now. But
so you're not requiring the travelers be vaccinated. You're just seeing that many of them are.
Right. They come, yeah. And I chat with the group leader before their arrival, and they have always, been reassuring and saying like, oh, our bus is vaccinated, but we're not requiring it one way or the other. It's we're seeing everywhere. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. If you are not vaccinated, you need to be wearing a mask. And it's based all on that honor system. And we're seeing that people are really following that and respecting that. So that's been really good. But of the buses that have come through Omaha, they haven't had to worry about that because they've all been vaccinated. And then all my step-on guides are vaccinated too. So then we don't have to really worry about that when a step-on guide is coming on the bus. So
Jane Nordstrom from Gurnee, Illinois, so that she's doing a big project right now, even though she's on this call, she's listening in, but she said, we're doing well. Lots of overnight groups from 2021 are now here, or from 2020 are now here in 2021. And Connie Francis brought a group last week. It was so great to see her and her clients. We're booking day trips moving into holiday, busy. So she doesn't say anything about whether or not her guests are vaccinated or if they are requiring it, but at least she's seeing the business, and that's good to hear. Ted's calling in. Hello, Ted.
We need some on-hold music right now, if anybody's got any.
All right, let me see what I can do to get you back in. All right, bye.
Who kicked Ted out?
Well, Ted got kicked out, so he's trying to get back in, and I'm working on that. But anybody else? Jordan?
We don't really have anything as far as mandates in Jefferson City, and this whole state of Missouri actually, during the whole pandemic, didn't actually have any sort of mask mandate for that time period. So I feel like things are somewhat relaxed when it comes to that. I feel like a lot of the vaccination policies have been left up to the different best providers and groups that have been coming through. So, I mean, I had a bus group in June that came in, and it was pretty much a full bus. And the tour operator said that they were not requiring vaccinations for that group, and he honestly didn't know how many of them were or weren't at that time. But he did say after they arrived that he had wished that he had mandated it. So I think people are kind of, even if they didn't require it before, I think they will definitely in the future. So we're seeing a little bit of a mixed bag on that.
Hi, Jordan. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Did anybody else have did anyone else have a problem hearing? Jordan? Yeah, I couldn't hear you. I hate to ask you to repeat it, but I was really interested in what you were saying.
Now? Not really.
Yeah,
Better.
it's better. I turned the volume up on mine, so
Different laptop than usual, so I don't know if the microphone works that well. I apologize. Can you hear me though?
kind of.
Sort of. Okay. I can type in
You're
the
just
chat
really
box.
muffled, if that makes sense. Like it sounds like you're talking through like a towel
I
or something.
apologize. It may not be as well. I'll just type in the little chat box.
So one of the things that Ted and I were wondering about with the peer group conference coming up, registration actually opening was if our restrictions were going to have any sort of impact on the attendance. And so we are basically going to be having the same requirements for a conference as we're recommending that you guys have for your trip. So what that is proof of vaccination, both doses, that you've either had COVID fairly recently or that you have a test right before you come to conference. And so how does that make you feel about the conference attendance for yourself?
I mean, I'm fine. I'm attending conferences even before that.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, I'll definitely be there.
Are our restrictions different than theirs or no?
I have not received any restrictions regarding the other conferences that I'm attending at this point.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm fully vaccinated, so I guess it really doesn't matter you know, I don't have to do anything above and beyond to
Mhm.
prepare for the conference.
Now, club directors, I'm curious. I was thinking that we're probably in a good place because probably club directors, in order to get their groups on the road again, have gotten vaccinated, whether they personally really wanted to or not. You're kind of doing it for the benefit of your club, perhaps. Am I right on that or wrong on that? Or there's maybe still some who aren't going to be vaccinated and would rather do the test ahead of the coming in? I'll just say I'm not vaccinated. And so I'm planning to have a test done before the conference. I don't, maybe you don't want to share, but if you're willing to, I'm just curious if there are people like me who are okay with not being vaccinated and assuming that risk, if you will, but being willing to take a test in order to attend the conference.
I'm fully vaccinated.
Okay. Good. Well, I'm hopeful that our restrictions won't keep anyone from attending. We're doing it to make everybody safe and feel safe in the space, but we just definitely don't want it to be a deterrent for people to attend. And I can't get Ted back in, so I'm still working on it.
I'm here now.
Oh, good. Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know, I got dropped somehow. So I missed all that good stuff. Where are we?
Well, we weren't really getting any sort of new feedback from partners about what their experience has been. And so those who have wanted to share have done so, I think. So I was just asking about our HCI peer group restrictions or, guidelines, if you will, are the same that we're recommending for the club directors and the tour group. So wondered if they had any feedback about that. We're just getting on that.
All right.
I really feel that anybody in the travel industry is, as long as they are actually moving forward with travel, these are things that they have to address in order to have a day trip, any kind of travel whatsoever. Again, with the partners, and I'm assuming everyone has to have this in their face one way or another and have to make that decision whether they are going to be vaccinated or I would say the majority probably are because of the people that we are addressing. And, I never felt there was even an option for me because of my job. So, but again, everyone has that right. But I feel that anyone in the travel industry that would want to attend a conference or any kind of travel are going to be okay with doing one of those three things.
I would agree with you, Amber, because I was very not going to get the vaccine. It was a very big point of contention in our home. But as I look down the road at my job and travel starting, and in order for me to actually do my job, it was something that my boss never said it was required, but I'd not be able to do it. So it goes both ways.
I've been to numerous already in-person shows, and I'm leaving next week for another one. I'll see you on Monday, Rick. It's definitely, that's what got me. I got the vaccine so that I could travel. I don't want to have to deal with not, having the COVID tests and all that crap. I just thought, it's my job. I travel. But I want to encourage travelers to come to Wisconsin. We want them vaccinated. So I did the same, and I'm enjoying the fact that I can get out and go to these conferences without hesitation and travel around. So,
Jim, I have a question for you regarding your international programs. If someone is fully vaccinated, are they still going to have the test before they can return to the U.S.?
Good question, Rick. Yes. As of right now, the answer is yes. And there are many options. Our guides help folks, whether they pre-ordered a self-test kit and they're going to do that with a healthcare professional virtually while they're on tour, or getting it done at a local pharmacy, or getting it done at the airport. So there are many options to do that. So far, we have operated 120 departures, 35 of those since April, by the way. 35 of those have been international, so we've had no challenges. We've got 114 tours that we're operating right now through the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, there's many options to do that. We thought that when our borders opened up, we thought that was going to be here when UK and EU and Canada opened their borders, that would go away. But as we know, we had not opened our borders yet.
Yeah, we have a group coming, or will be going to Ireland in early October this year, and we've arranged for our ground handler to provide the testing service for the return. So we're having somebody come to the hotel to administer the test. It'll be 72 hours in advance of their departure date. So and I was quite surprised at the expense of the testing. And it was, well over 100 pounds.
Mhm.
That's a significant hit, for a traveler, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know at least, I'm going to say 4 or 5 of the people on that trip are telling us that they are not going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
So, we're laying down the rules as to what they have to do with regards to testing. And if they choose, one couple decided they weren't going to go, period, because they weren't even going to do the test. So I've been working on this one trip for the better part of 2 years now. And I don't think I've ever worked on one trip this long, but the changes are dynamic. I mean, we have to understand, they do have to wear a mask on the planes and that sort of thing. Our motor coach will require masks. We're going to have hand sanitizer. We're going to do everything we possibly can to keep them safe and well.
Yeah.
And that's not only for international, but for our domestic products as well that we're doing that. We're trying everything we can. If somebody's got to fly, to make it easy on them. If it's a straight up motor coach program, we spend time talking with the clients about what they want to do, since it's for the bank club. So we're trying to be as flexible as we can, but we have to be conscious of where we're going and, what the problems are going to be in the destinations that we're taking our travelers to. So, it's requiring a lot of research. And I like the idea of the center that you mentioned. I think every bank club director in the country should have that on their website. So as they're planning travel and they promote their travel programs, it's easy enough to tell your travelers, here is the site you need to go to check on what is required. And then there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what it is. So I think, using that, promoting that is a great idea.
Yeah, it's a nice tool. I like it.
And I've already added it to our website, our homepage on our HCI site during this call.
Yeah, Rick, sort of like you, I mean, with Mayflower, we're making sure that we're arranging the testing for everybody because we don't want to get to the airport and not have somebody, tested properly in that. So we are arranging the testing on all of our international trips for the return home. And in fact, we are reimbursing the travelers up to $100 to pay for that testing. So we're trying to, take any of those barriers away to keep them traveling right now. And then on our river cruise vessels, we do have the ability, if they're not doing a post night, we're doing the testing right on the river cruise vessels that we own. So yeah, we're
and I forget who was asking the question, but I'm proud to say that one of my groups that I got with Mayflower, was our first international one that just went out. And so we got a full ship charter out in Croatia. And the group leader went out and made a big effort and got, everybody vaccinated, and then was surprised, that they still had to be tested, of course, to come back to the United States. But again, they were very happy with, what we were able to offer with Mayflower, with chipping in. They didn't get that kind of chip in, but you have to tell people when we're talking about international that he had different regulations, and I wanted to make this clear to everybody. He booked the air on his own, and so he had regulations regulations from British Airways that were different too. And so they ended up, because they were connecting through London, they had to take a test before. And so we couldn't really help with that part, but then we helped with the test back on the ship, you know, and this was even though he made all the effort and got everybody vaccinated and everything. So, you know, we just played it by ear and we waited till the document time came, and we kept up to date with all the information, and now they're over there having a good time. I've been getting some nice emails, but it is a moving target and everything. And I definitely worked harder getting this group moved and out than ever in history. But that was a good question, because yeah, right now your vaccination, you know, you still have to get tested on the international coming back, you know, and as far as I know, everywhere. So.
I have a question for the bankers, because obviously things have changed. We've seen this be fluid and information is at a premium right now. What we've been doing for most of our partners is we actually have created the message and not only communicated it to our partners, but also emailed it directly to the guest if we have their email address. We haven't really done that for our banking partners because we basically look at it as a do not communicate to your guests. But in this situation, it's a service issue. And I just wanted to ask everybody how you felt about us emailing your clients that way with that information.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
This is Connie. I will have to say traditionally, if things were like they had been before, I would say, yeah, no, let me do that. But I think in this circumstance, I think I would welcome it.
Perfect. That's kind of the feedback that we've got from most of the folks we've talked with. You know, even AAA is one of our biggest partners, and they even acknowledge the same thing, that they would rather the information come from us directly and provide those resources. It's total service. There's no marketing going on, but I know that in the banking community, it's a little bit different restrictions. So any others have comment?
We have, you've been sending emails to my customers because we're doing Ireland. We're supposed to be there right now, and that's been moved back a little bit. But yes, that was very much appreciated. I just followed up with an email to those customers to make sure they know that's a legitimate email coming from you guys, and to let them know that I'm here to answer their questions for them if they have any after you send that. So yes, very much appreciated at this point.
Perfect. And Becky's going to Ireland August 12th, right?
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping my fingers crossed.
Jim, I also would.
As far as me, the communication will need to come through me.
Okay. And that's not a problem, Rob.
Jim, I feel that the same as what Connie and Becky said. I do agree that because of the times, I think they also would feel very informed and a little bit more safer knowing that they've got that information from you. I do feel that it would be nice to have some way to communicate that if you have any questions, please contact your bank club director and they can, you know, move forward with, you know, any kind of communication. I would hope that they wouldn't have communication directly through you and it would come through us, like Becky said. And also to have the knowledge that that is going out in advance of that email being sent. So like Becky said, that she followed up with an email saying, you know, or even, you know, prefaced it with saying, you're going to be receiving an email on such and such a day from Colette. It's not spam. Please read it, and it's, you know, great information for our upcoming tour.
Very good, Amber. Yeah, and just to note, we have preempted that message by talking with our partners, just so you have a heads up that this message is coming. But yeah, appreciate that.
Jim, are you doing that as a group email, or are you doing individual emails?
It's a group email to the folks, everybody that's on the departures.
So it's easy enough, if you wanted to, you could copy the bank club director, so they are
Right.
seeing what you're sending out.
Exactly. Blind copied. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
Well, I was anxious to get, unless this happened while I was off the line, I was anxious to get some more feedback from our bankers about what you're doing now, and how any changes in the Delta variant, things like that, are affecting your decisions. I assume that was not talked about while I was offline. So why don't we go right into that, and please, bankers, share with all of us what you're doing and what you're thinking now. I can call on you.
Ted, we're not doing anything. Everything is canceled through mid-October at this point.
And Rob, is
Ted,
that?
we're moving on with our program, and we have several trips the rest of this year, some that were brought over from last year. It's a very frustrating time to be a bank club director, because it's hard to know, like trying to promote for next year even. I'm like, if I try to promote something right now, I'm just afraid people are not, I don't know. It's just been up and down with, are we going, are we not going? Do I promote it now? Do I try to wait? Just because the news every day is so up and down. And so it's just very frustrating to know what to do. My trips have held together pretty well. I have 45 going to national parks in September. We're leaving in a couple of weeks for Ireland. Rick and I are working on New Orleans, and that one's got me scared now because they've put mask mandates back in New Orleans. And, it's just up and down, and people are, I have some that are ready to go, and then you have those that are ready to cancel. And I think I've talked to Jennifer at Colette so many times that I'm scared I'm gonna run her off, but we just don't know what to do. It's just scary times to know what to do. And she's had to calm me down a little bit, and it's okay. It's okay if they cancel. It's okay if your trip has to cancel right now. It's where we all are. So it's just frustrating.
I think Jim had a very nice little mention earlier that when you mentioned the UK and the fact that the Delta variants are starting to decrease. So like you said, they're about 5 weeks ahead or so from the United States. So I think that's a very positive trend. I think if we begin to see that here, I think it'll take a lot of the pressure off the club directors. I think it'll take a lot of the uncertainty out of the club members about their travel plans. Now, all we can do is just, hope that continues, that trend, and things are more in a positive light, and that the travelers will see that, and that, they'll be more comfortable with the travel program.
And that's so true. Back in May and June, when yes, we're going to Ireland. Yes, we're going to Ireland. It was just a very positive note. Things were moving. And then all of a sudden, and honestly, we're not going to Ireland today or this week because the pubs and the restaurants, were not fully open, and we just were a little concerned about that. It had nothing to do with COVID. And now we're going in August. We don't have to have that negative test to go. We do to come home, but we don't have to have it to go because all my people are fully vaccinated, of course. So yeah, it's just like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. So I'm like you, if we can get encouraging news like that from the other variants, then we can move forward, hopefully.
Connie, how about you?
We are moving forward with our trips, except for we're on hold for international. We do have a trip that's scheduled in April, and I'm not exactly sure, but we just kind of moved that date. But I do feel kind of bad right now. The club, management has said we aren't asking people if they've been vaccinated or not. We are just following CDC guidelines. So we talk to that note, and we have a new waiver that we have people sign. But when we go somewhere, I can't say as I have asked, have you been vaccinated? That's kind of, our attorney had said, we don't want to get into business that perhaps that personal decision type thing, but we want to just say wherever we go, we're following the CDC guideline, which says if you're not vaccinated, you wear a mask. So we went on a 3-day adventure. We went to Jane in Lake County, and nobody wore a mask that whole time. And we didn't run into any requirements on the way. And it was a great trip. But truthfully, I guess I didn't really say to anyone, are you all vaccinated? And as I'm on the call, I feel quite irresponsible right now, not knowing that. But that is something that has been brought to me, is we aren't asking that question. So we have done some day trips. We have, we're going up to Wisconsin to the Packers, and we do have one venue that it is mask required, but otherwise, yeah, we're moving, and I will follow, of course, once we start flying and such, I'll follow whatever guidelines we need there. But that's kind of been put on me as a responsibility of where you go, just make sure you're following their the CDC guidelines wherever you are. So yeah, that's again, a little bit of, after talking to everyone or hearing everyone today, I feel a little bad that I really don't know if they're vaccinated or not. What, anybody's thoughts on that?
Connie, our club is pretty similar. We are just now starting to plan day trips and in-person events. Up until now, we've just been doing virtual events. And right now our plan is just to follow along with what vendors require and what the CDC is requiring. But we also don't plan to ask that specific question because that could cause some issues with customers.
Ted, everything that I have been told is that this question about being vaccinated, you cannot ask because it's a HIPAA violation. You can state that a trip or event can only be attended by fully vaccinated people, but you can't ask them if they are vaccinated. Do you know if what I'm hearing is true or false?
Well, I think what you're hearing is true. I'm not sure that it's accurate, though. That is, my understanding is that the HIPAA laws are applicable to the health institution.
That's correct.
It's a doctor and a nurse who can't ask these questions.
Yep.
It's not you. You're a business. You can require things. You can ask things. They don't have to answer it, but you can ask it. One of the things that we have asked all of our bankers, Heritage Club bankers, in looking ahead, is to find out whether or not which members are vaccinated or not. And so that we are prepared, we, the club directors, prepared to know how many people are not vaccinated. And if a new rule comes down, suddenly at the last minute says, you have to be vaccinated, you know who to call. You know, who are the unvaccinated ones. It's just information that you have so you can adapt to whatever's going on out there with all these changing rules. So if you have the information, it may be very useful. It may be irrelevant. It's almost like when you in the past have gone on tour and your customers have given you their medical information. You know what their medical information is. Many of you keep it on cards or in your phones or whatever it might be, so that should they have a problem, you're able to share information with the emergency care people on site. You hope to never have to use it, but it's information that you have. And bankers have been doing that for years and years and years. So this is just another, it's highly sensitive because it's current right now and it's political, but I don't believe that it violates any of the HIPAA requirements that I've been informed about. But it is certainly a question of whether or not by asking it, you think you might get somebody upset. Yes. I mean, you might a person that banks with you might say, you know, because you asked me, I'm going to take my business out of the bank. Hard to imagine, but you know, that could be something senior management is concerned about. But they shouldn't, I don't think, Rob, they shouldn't be using HIPAA as an excuse for doing it. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to ask. But I think for you guys as bankers to be informed as much as you can be about your travelers will help you. You know, let's suppose you go into a restaurant and the restaurant says, we have different seating for vaccinated people and unvaccinated people. You don't know who's going where. But if you know it ahead of time who's vaccinated, who's not, then you can make that easier. You can care for those people more easily as they split up and do different things. It's just information.
Ted, I think there's a way around physically asking the customer if they have been vaccinated or not. Your letter maybe that goes out to the group that signed up, say, you know, we're doing this for our Maritime Magic trip, which is a Canadian Maritimes trip that's going in September. We worded it so that, you know, they were aware that in order to go to Canada, and if they open up the borders, we anticipate everyone will need to be vaccinated. I sent a separate one out to our waitlisted people that said a little bit differently, but basically just let them know that if they want to go to this destination, they have to be vaccinated. So it isn't asking them, are they vaccinated? It's just letting them know that they have to in order to do it. Same with, you know, whether it would be flying, you know, you have to do one of these 3 things, or if you travel with Colette or Mayflower, they have those things in order. I do know that, the 3 different ways of, you know, going. So I think a lot of it is, you know, not point blank saying, are you vaccinated or are you not? You know, and then after that letter is sent, then you need to say, you know, and we also need to have a copy of the proof of that vaccination, just like we would want a copy of your passport. So that's kind of what I found also on our motor coach trip that we recently did in Tennessee and Memphis and Kentucky. There we go. Our coach driver, because we did not have everyone vaccinated, but every time he got off the coach, our manager had to find out, do we need a mask? Do we not need a mask? And he'd come in and he'd say, for those of you who are vaccinated, you do not need to wear a mask. For those of you who aren't vaccinated, you need to wear a mask. So we kept everybody up to date and reminded them of that. I will say that the honesty wasn't necessarily there. You know, I was aware of one couple who was not vaccinated, and every once in a while I'd see a mask on, and then I did not throughout the whole trip. So.
Yeah, so I think my point was that when you're not going to a place that requires vaccination, obviously Canada's different than if you're doing a motor coach tour around the US, where you don't have to be vaccinated to travel. My only thought is that your life as the group leader will be easier if you know who's vaccinated, who's not. And how you know that, whether you ask it or whether you frame it in another way, it's easier when you get to that point that Amber experienced when the tour guide gets off and comes back on and says, if you're unvaccinated, you have to wear a mask. You know it's going to be George and Julie and Sandy. And so you know how to react to that. You'll be prepared, that's all. What other bankers have, like Brenda, have you been traveling at all yet? You're still muted, I think, somehow.
Oh, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just took a bus, our first trip. It was a late afternoon evening, and we went to St. Paul and did a dinner cruise on the Mississippi. I had 38 people, and we just went up and back, kept it simple, and everybody had a great time. We did not ask if people were vaccinated. People kind of sat with their couples, and it was a great time. And we're doing another day trip in December, going to Chanhassen Dinner Theater. So we're just kind of easing into it slowly. Our local theater has opened up, so they have graciously given our Summit Club members a discount if they want to reserve a ticket and go on their own. So we're just kind of easing into it. In March, we're going to Ireland, and we had filled it up right away. And we have a little waiting list. So we're starting into it easy and slow, and everybody's pretty anxious to get going.
Thank you. How about you, Melody?
I did my first day trip yesterday. We are requiring either the vaccine or negative test or to show proof that you're recovering. I've got about 60% capacity from where we were, but they were eager to show me, they were excited to show me their vaccine cards. They lined them up as we got on the bus and showed me, but I only had one individual that it was going to cost her $75 to take the test, to get a negative test. So she ended up not getting to go, but yeah, we've got plans for Branson in September, Biltmore in August, and Nashville in December.
Nice to hear. Thanks, Melody. Doreen, how about you?
No, we are not doing any travel at this point in time. I think that we are going to probably wait till the first of the year to see where we are before we even make any decisions about travel. We have had some outdoor get-togethers. We just did a Roaring 20s event with them last week. So the bank opted to put up a tent, a 20 by 40 tent outdoors this year for the full summer, that we will have functions there, whether it's a speaker coming in or some type of crafts and the Roaring 20s. And then we'll have another big music event towards the fall, just before the tent goes back.
Thanks, Doreen. Kelly, how are you doing up there in Minnesota?
It's been a roller coaster ride, I think, as Becky said. We were supposed to be in Alaska now, but we canceled that. The deadline was April for the final payments, and the vaccinations were just starting to really roll out then. We were supposed to be on a national parks trip in September. I had just over enough to go, and I also had people back out last minute, some that weren't vaccinated and said they were nervous that the airlines were going to make them be vaccinated, so they canceled on me, and a few others that I just think were riding the fence a little bit. And now I've been planning a few day events, but this Delta virus, I think, is starting to make senior management a little bit nervous again. We are supposed to be going to Branson in December. I have 25 signed up for that. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest with you. So just coming into this new, it has been quite a roller coaster ride. So, but we're hanging in there. And I also, with the whole marketing thing, it's, you have to plan. Do you push it and market it, or there's that reservation of they're going to be disappointed when we cancel? It's just, yeah, I'm really torn up and down.
Kelly, that's a really important comment. On some of our past rally calls, the kind of consensus has been that it's really important to heavily market, to go ahead and assume it's going to go, because one thing we've learned about the guests during COVID is that they know things are changing. And if something cancels, they're not going to be upset about it. They'll be disappointed perhaps, but they know it's not because of something that the bank did wrong or your tour operator did wrong. It's just because of what life is like right now. And if you don't market it, then you're going to go through this hesitation phase the entire time leading up to the tour. And your guests will, feel that as well. So if you can, if you're allowed to and so on, I think that most of us would recommend, marketing it. And if the last thing has to happen, you have to cancel, why, that's just business these days, how things are going. Lisa, how about with you?
We're about the same. We have a trip going to Colorado Rails in September. I only have 20 travelers on it, but we're still going to make it a go, and it'll be a good trip. And then in November, we're going to Branson, and we have about 15 that have said they want to go, but I don't have deposits yet. So, and that's it for this year for us.
Okay, so you're actively going again, and you're planning for the future.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Did any other bankers not have a chance to speak? Meg, I know you made one comment. Is there anything else you wanted to add to what you were saying?
Nothing additional right now. I feel the same apprehension that other bankers have shared just about planning and getting the promotion out. And we haven't made any decisions about extended travel yet. So we're just starting slow with some day trips and then in-person events.
Okay.
Ted, June O'Hanlon from Cadence Bank is actually, she has 40 people right now in the national parks with us. So she couldn't be on the call. She's in the national parks. And yeah. Just one thing to share with everybody. We see a robust demand for travel, even with everything that's gone on. I think there's even more pinned up demand. But what the new norm is folks do not want to have to risk their money. The new norm is flexibility and being able to get their money back. So that is a critical piece that if you plan something, you promote it, you got to give people the opportunity to cancel for any reason and not get 65% of their money back, but 100% of their money back. That includes airline tickets. I was at a conference last week and somebody was talking about cancel for any reason, but the premium's 50% more and you get 65% of your money back. That's not a great policy. You lose $1,300 of a $4,000 trip. So we refund 100% of the money. If you cancel for any reason, you got up until 24 hours before departure for any reason, and you get 100% of your money back, including airline tickets. All you lose would be the travel protection premium. And if we can't operate the trip for some reason, we give 100% of the money back, including travel protection premium. That's a new expectation. That is the new norm. And that's how you can promote successfully.
Thanks, Jim. I do want to mention for the bankers that are kind of uncertain, where maybe you have permission to do things, but you're not quite sure about what you want to do, and you just don't want to take that first step forward. A lot of your peers, a lot of your Heritage Club banks are actively selling, not just the ones you hear on this screen. We have this fall, we have 6 of our Heritage Club banks that are going out in the next 2.5 months. And they're nice full groups. These are all domestic tours, but they're flying. So they're dealing with all those issues about getting on an airplane and things like that. And I know the other PTOs have similar sort of numbers that are going on. So for those of you that are saying, I'm not sure it's the right time, just be careful that you don't say that for so long that you're not ready when your travelers are really anxious to go. And the rules allow you to go, and the restrictions that are in place are becoming commonplace so that we're able to deal with them. So as Heritage Clubs, we just want to encourage you to try to be as positive as you possibly can in what is a really, screwed up time. I mean, this frustration, Becky used the right word, that she was frustrated in the very beginning of this call, is real. There's no question about it. And the reason to have these calls is to see what other people are doing, so that you might be, feeling more and more confidence to do it. Reach out.
Ted, I wanted to add something to what you were saying. Is just I've been working with a couple of my reps where we've encouraged not just bank clubs, but even other accounts to just go out there and take that first step and start promoting. And some of them, it's been a mixed bags, but they have let us, do in-person travel presentations, and maybe their attendance is low, but it gets the ball rolling. They get the few initial signups to sign up, and maybe like they have a promotion with us that doesn't expire till October. I just want you to know at Mayflower, all of our reps, that you would work with out in the field, all of our BDMs are willing to do an additional show a little bit closer to maybe when that promo expires. And that's what we're doing with this particular account, because she did get her tried and true, the ones that are ready to go, they came out and they signed up. But then she does feel if we do another, travel event a little bit closer to it, that gives time for things to play out. And it also gave time to give those initial people to sign up, get the ball rolling. They're going to be talking now in the community. And I know the group leader was really excited about that, because we all know the word of mouth really does sell. So, talk to the PTO you're working with, and try to come up with, different strategies and things like that. Even if you start with like an e-blast or something, and then do the event a little bit closer to when maybe a promotion is finally expiring. But I agree with what Ted was saying there. Just a chance to get out there and give people the opportunity to get the ball rolling, and at least talking about something in the future, even if it's for 2022, fall of 2022, in some cases 2023. I mean, we're ready to talk about that as well. So
I also wanted to mention that back in, I think, on April or so, we had a rally call. One of the comments on that rally call was from Amber, who had just come back from doing her Southern tour and had a great experience with it. But what she was very pleasantly surprised by was how the community reacted. Like, she had broken the ice, the trip had gone, and now people are saying, okay, Amber, where are we going next? And the momentum was created. But if she hadn't gone, they'd still be going through this hesitation process. And Amber is doing a lot of business this year, and I assume that will continue into the following years. So we understand the hesitation. If you can break that cycle and just go for it, I think that you'll probably get the same sort of response that Amber got. Any other bankers that got that sort of response, feel free to share that, where you've had some success and now your customers are looking to you again for travel.
Ted, I'd like to say, I was nervous to start travel again. And what I did was, when I re-engaged my travelers, I started with what I called in our own backyard series. So I did series that people could drive themselves to. And that was successful. And then last week I did a Block Island tour. And that was a day trip on motor coach, a boat tour to Block Island, which is in Rhode Island. And I quickly sold out. I had 50 people my first day. I added a second day, had 50 people my second day. I have a trip that I'm promoting to Mackinac Island next year with 33 people. So I think it's exactly what you said. I broke the ice, and people, they want to travel. What I find in regards to the vaccination is people want to know that others are vaccinated. And if they think that they're getting on a bus and people are not vaccinated, then they're a little bit more reluctant to travel. But fortunately, I am asking my people, and so far everyone that that's traveled with me has been vaccinated. But we have a trip to Hamilton planned. We have the Cape train planned, and I'm finding they're ready to go. We want to travel.
Great.
Aaron, I would agree. And Ted, I appreciate you bringing that up. For the fact that I would suggest that once you make that first initial trip, if you are allowed to do it, because that's going to open the doors, because the word of mouth is amazing how much it's spread. We've been traveling since March. We have so far been able to accommodate every trip that we had to cancel, which were 4 trips last year. And we've done 2 of the extended travel. And we anticipate our Canadian Maritimes and our Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta to go in September and October. We've kicked off next year's tours. We sold out Alaska to 47 people within 2 weeks. I have a travel show tonight with Mayflower Cruises and Tours, and we have 41 people coming to the travel show. I have 10 people on the wait list. So we have people who want to go. South Dakota with Colette. For next year, we've sold 21 already. I knew it'd be not as big as Alaska. So we have 21, that's enough to go. And we're moving forward with everything as, you know, as we have planned. And again, we have people who want to go. People are coming and visiting again. You know, yes, I know it's iffy, and we're trying to plan for 2023, which is tough because I was hoping to do an international tour. With that, a river cruise, which is cruising also, you know, that makes you a little bit nervous. Because of the Delta variant, I know, Ted, you wanted to talk about that quickly on does that make a difference on what you're planning? And it certainly does. I think every banker's got to say that it's going to make a difference on how we're thinking about moving forward with international travel. But Ted, with our Maritime Magic, he's making it happen. Our trip to Canada is gonna go. Lots of things to have to be patient with and lots of details that you need to communicate. So I would just encourage everybody to make that step and just be positive that it really comes down to you being positive and whether your group is gonna wanna travel.
I would like to add, if I could, toward the marketing effort. We've had 20 tours go out so far this year. We've got a busy fall, several tours sold out. But what we're finding is that we've got people traveling with us that haven't traveled in 7, 8, 9, 10 years even. And so what that has done is it's really pointed us to the direction of our marketing efforts going out to everybody, not just targeting in on, you know, the last 5, 6 years of travel. We're getting a lot of people that are calling and they're saying, hey, we haven't traveled for the last several years, but we've got things on our bucket list we need to get crossed off. And so I would just encourage you to maybe go through some old passenger lists that may not even be a part of the club and work on some of those former passengers.
It's a good point, Ryan. Also, I'm sure it's not just a bucket list, but the fact that they now have some money. There's a lot of money been saved up during this time by people. And so why not spend it on some pleasurable experiences?
Folks, I'm going to have to leave. I've got another appointment to take care of. So good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I was going to say, unless there are other comments, we've taken up almost an hour and a half here. I do want to mention that next week we have another rally call with Eric Anderson, who I see is still on the screen, from Arch Roamright, who is our insurance provider. And they've changed their insurance opportunities for our bankers. And if you're wondering what's available now and how to sell it and all of that stuff, he's going to be doing this on Wednesday, August 4th at the same time, 10 a.m. Central Time. So be sure to come back next week for that. But any other closing comments people would like to share? I gather from the participation that everybody felt that this was worthwhile and still enjoys having these gatherings. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll say it's great to see everybody, even on Zoom. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good to jump on the call.
Great. All right. Well, very good, everybody. Have a great weekend coming up, and hopefully we'll see you next week on Eric's call. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bye, everyone.